Hi guys, welcome to podcast 8 of the Tom and Harry podcast. It is Monday today, so if you've not watched Thursday's podcast, episode 7, that was a full sales boot camp of how to get your clients, things to do right away that will keep your clients for longer. So after you've watched this one, make sure you watch that one. There'll be a link somewhere. But yeah, Tom, how are you?
Yeah, good, mate. It's good to be back on it. Hopefully everyone's getting value from it.
Yeah, I mean,
you're in a different location.
I am, mate, and I'm getting messages by the day saying that like people are taking so much value from this podcast. So, we're obviously super glad to see that, and loads of people are sending in questions.
Yeah, I was going to say I'm getting lots of questions, and also people who are genuinely interested in joining our academy, which is not what this is designed for, but people are seeing the value of it, and I think it's the support network that goes behind all these things. So it's nice to see.
Yeah, no, it really is. Well, one question that came in literally 10 minutes before we started filming this is all about developing countries. And this isn't going to be useful for obviously people that aren't in developing countries, but it's still useful for them to know because there are some things that we can talk about in this small segment that they can take value from. But in terms of operating an SMMA from a developing country, what are your big things to kick it off? I would say from a macro level that it is kind of a very different blueprint that you have to follow, isn't it? Like it really is. But what would you say is the key things that people need to look out for, watch for, etc.?
What if you're wanting to start an SMMA?
Yeah. So if someone's in India thinking about starting an SMA, is trying to run an SMA, and they want to find clients, and I know they all want to find clients in the UK, US, and charge the high ticket clients. What are the biggest obstacles they're going to come into or they might be facing now, and what can they do to get over it?
The biggest thing, one of the biggest problems they have, if you are in a developing country and you're looking to start SMMA, you have to make sure that you don't look like a scammer. So majority of scammers that are hitting people are from those countries, rightly or wrongly, but there's a huge influx of scammers. So what happens is the Western world has become quite edgy about it and cautious, which is absolutely right to be. I've been not caught myself. I know a friend of mine who was caught on scammers, and I had a phone call from someone who was in India trying to pretend that they worked for Microsoft and wanted all my passwords. So these are some things which you need to be aware of if you are and you legitimately want to start an SMMA, which you absolutely can do. However, it's making sure you look authentic and real. So how do you do that, Tom? Well, first of all, you need to have all your social pages in the right place. So we're looking at your Facebook and Instagram. They need to be really professional and authentic, okay? You then need to have a LinkedIn profile, and I'd say get a good LinkedIn profile. Have a good profile picture, have a good description of what you do, make sure you've got any previous work you've done. It has to look legit. You have to look real, okay? Sorry, my music is now playing on my my laptop. I don't know why this does this, Harry, but let me just turn it off.
Building on that point, mate.
Yeah,
it's a very good point. I don't know what it is that people in developing countries, they don't a lot of the time don't set up their pages in the correct way, and it's a huge thing. Like I had someone reach out to me saying, Harry, should I reach out to business owners on Instagram through this profile I'm talking to you on, or should I make an agency profile? And I looked on the profile he messaged me on, and his bio was smoke weed every day. What his Instagram bio that he wanted to reach out to business owners was smoke weed every day. Yeah, and it's like, how you got to take.
There's a lot. I do think people lack a lot of common sense.
Yeah,
and this
that's
is
not. I think that's in general. That's not.
I think this is in general. This is not an SMMA exclusive. I think most people who lack a lot of common sense. Yeah, and I think it's got worse with. And I'm not I really don't want to generalize, but actually, you're in this age group, mate, because you're 23 years old. I think a lot of people who are 26 and below, maybe 28 and below, maybe sub 30, I don't know. I think they don't think correctly and they don't put themselves in other person's shoes. They just think about what they've heard or what they're regurgitating shit that they've heard on YouTube or on social media. It's embarrassing. But like There's no common sense. So like that question there, should I reach out to this client from my agency page or my personal page? You should make that joke. You don't need Harry SMMA to tell you what you should do.
No,
that's a joke. For start, if that's what you're going for him for help with, of all the questions you could ask Harry in that DM, you ask him that. Like, it's just silly.
Yeah.
I think that I want to just touch back on making yourself look authentic in an SMMA from a developing country. It is a problem, but it's so doable. There is something called WhatsApp for Business. If you're thinking of doing outreach, you want to make sure you've also got WhatsApp for Business. I'm not on this podcast going to tell you what that is. Go and do your own research. Go on YouTube and type in what is WhatsApp for Business. You'll get all the answers you ever need. But it makes you look more authentic. Again, you can have a good personal profile on there. You can put your business name, information in there. Then you can text people in like US, UK, and make it really personal and actually get it's much more unlikely that a scammer would do that, you know. So that's one way around it. Also, emails, you can do a huge amount of mass, you know, personalized mass emails if you've got the time. That again is with a link to your website, and you can have. There's a question there: should you have a website? Should you not? You need a point of reference, particularly if you're in a developing country. I don't think it's needed for US, UK. I think the more you have to show to someone, I'm a real person who just wants a really good opportunity to work with your business, and I am totally legit, then that is your main focus, is sure enough.
Yeah, I agree. And I think something that you said there, putting yourself in the business owner's shoes for them specifically is really, really important, because you've got to think to yourself, and this is just being self-aware in the business that you're running. If you're sat in a developing country and you want to find clients in the UK and US, which you will because they pay you more, you've got to think, why would they work with you over an SMMA in the UK and US if you're charging the exact same fee? Why would they? So there's a mirror image of someone in India, in the UK, both of them going after UK businesses. Why would they go for you in India over someone in the UK on the same time zone charging the same price? Really, unless you're showing skills way above them, which you very easily can, then that's how you're going to win the business. But if you're not, then they're not going to go for you, because you're charging the same. They've got to deal with the time difference, probably a language barrier. So you've got to make sure your English is impeccable. They're not going to trust you running ads and marketing campaigns if you don't speak impeccable English and can write impeccable English. They're just not going to want it for obvious reasons. And you should agree the same. Common sense should say, obviously they're not. So you've got to make yourself stand out, which is why a lot of people in developing countries charge a lot less, because that's how they stand out from the crowd. So there are a lot of things that you just need to be self-aware about if you're in a developing country running an SMMA to get those high ticket clients. And to get those high ticket clients, there's no different really for the way you communicate with them is no different. The channels are very different. The blueprint to get clients from a developing country is different because the channel's different. But in terms of what you say, yes, there's the caveat of, you know, notifying to them that you can that you know you're in a developing country, and it makes it slightly more difficult. But in terms of how you actually sell, the processes are still the same, aren't they? Like for me, you take through the same sales presentation, the same. It's just that initial barrier to get over the fact you're in a developing country is where the different blueprint comes into play.
It is completely. There's other things like having a domain. You know, you've got to have a .com domain, and I would say you need to. That again goes back to being as authentic as possible when you're in a developing country. But there is an element also that you need to, like you just touched on. If your English isn't good and you're ringing people in Western countries, and you are gonna, I would say just don't waste time, because unfortunately. And let me just get something straight on this podcast. I want nothing but success for those people in those countries.
Mate, you coached call centers in India.
I went to, and there's a guy called Brad, a friend of mine who I bumped into the other day, who's looking to get into what we do. Brad was a sales coach with me, and a guy called Mark. We went to India and we trained a huge call center in Trivandrum, which is in Kerala. And we went there and we were doing mass amounts of training on insurance, home insurance, car insurance, teaching them about like keywords, you know, things like what a roundabout is and what just I can't remember now because it's back in 2008, but we were teaching them the modernized world and some of the language we would use. they also used like an English name, all of them. So, you know, they would say, my name is Chris and I'm calling from blah, 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 when actually the name was Benoit. Okay. That's common practice. It's not a shameful thing. It's just making yourself a little bit more westernized. And this is what I've talked about in one of the courses that we have for people in those countries. That's super, super important to do. But when I was there training, you know, I've seen firsthand the struggles, the utter struggles. And if your English isn't good enough, it's going to be such a tough ask for you, because people from the Western world, our patience with that, anyone who doesn't speak English, our patience levels are very, very short. And that's really awful to say, but I want nothing but success for people in India and Pakistan and Bangladesh who want to make legitimate money online by helping businesses market themselves and to grow. You know, because just to get 3 or 4 clients in India is a huge, depending if the money's right, it's a huge amount of money. And I really want those countries to develop, and those people in those countries to develop.
Yeah,
but it is hard. But they're also sometimes not willing to listen either. And I find that you have to tell. We get a lot of questions from people who say, "Look, I'm in India. How can I do this? How can I do this?" And they ask me the same question like 20 times, and I'm like, "You're not listening to me. I'm telling you this for a reason." And they almost think, well, you don't know my situation, so you know you don't know how hard it is. But what else would you recommend? I'm like, no, just do what I'm asking you to do. And I think that comes from a lack of belief in them too, where they're almost writing themselves off.
No,
I've got an
definitely.
amazing, like we have it in our course. We have and we're not here to plug the course, but there is a course that we have, which in that we tell them there's a really simple strategy you can actually implement being in those countries, and it'll get you a 20 times better return.
Yeah, I don't mean
it's such a it's not flawless, but it's such a good method.
Yeah,
because it cuts out communication issues straight away.
Yeah, and I don't want this podcast to be us plugging courses in our mentorship program, but I think now probably is an appropriate time to talk about that, because fuck it, we are. Let's talk about it, because the course we put together, we spent weeks and weeks and weeks, probably no months actually, because including the planning, putting together a course which didn't cost a fortune. It's $97 rather than our main program, which is $597, which is way underpriced because of how much mentorship you get within it. But this SMMA training for developing countries is put together with everything you need to get your agency off the ground in a developing country. It is exclusively for developing countries. If you check the website, and there'll be a link below, we literally say, if you're not in a developing country, do not buy this course, because everything in it is there to build the correct foundations for you to build your agency in the right way and scale your agency in the right way and get clients in the right way and get clients in.
Yeah, I was going to say it's a course that's designed on process, not mentorship. For those who are wondering. So it's all showing you the processes of what we do, but you don't get the mentorship with it, because it's a $97 course, whatever it is, I can't remember. But it's not. It's there just to show, here's all the process, here's all the do. Like, go out and do it and give it your best shot. And it's a it's not a small investment to them, but it's way smaller than that.
It's way smaller than, if you look at any training there are, from our market research, there's no one who has put the time and effort to really help you guys in developing countries like you and I, and comes from a good place. We'd love to. We
have enough help. They don't, because they get written off, mate.
They do, and we're not doing that. So guys,
there's a lot of talented people. There's so many talented people.
People in developing countries, they're the hardest working people.
Hardest working, super intelligent, massive amount of drive and determination because they want to better themselves. And it does frustrate me that they don't. That it's a harder process for them. But you know, like you've just said, I've been there, witnessed it, seen it. I've worked there for a couple of months, and I felt when we took that idea to bring out that course, I really felt that this was we can really help people to get a grip on social media marketing and to put it into practice in the right way.
Yeah, and cut out all of the the shit that people have fed them over the years and the bad practices that everyone that is in a developing country seems to follow. Yeah.
Also, going on that, they need to also, if you are in a developing country getting to SMMA, you need to expose yourself to ads and be more familiar with what type of copy and ads work too. And because the marketing in different, like, there's different marketing in Sweden, there's different marketing in Australia. There's things that work in Australia that wouldn't necessarily work in the UK.
True.
I think you're even allowed to swear on some ads in Australia. We couldn't have that over here. So I don't know if that's true. I'm sure that's the case. But you just have to expose yourself to what, if you're working with US and UK clients, you're going to have to understand what those type of ads look like.
Because the terminology is very different. Like, for an example, a lot of people in developing countries, I don't know whether this is, no, I've seen this quite a lot, where they'll say like, hello friends, hello friend, don't they? That's a very common thing people use.
Like on an email.
Yeah. Or hello sirs and stuff like that. Like, you have to make sure you understand how people in different countries, we've come across this. Like when we first started working with clients in the US, we've had to adapt how we speak, because we've written some ad copies for people in the US and they've gone, guys, this is way too English. And we've been like, oh, is it really? How is that too English? And then they explain it and you're like, oh, that is very English. Yeah. So this isn't exclusive to developed countries. That's a fact for everyone. If you're getting clients abroad, you need to understand how, and especially in the US, even state to state, because states talk differently as well, don't they? There's been things where people have told us little things that you could change. There's like, that's really going to connect with people in Texas or wherever.
Absolutely.
So that's not exclusive to developing countries. That's just in general.
Yeah. I think the other tough thing is with SMMA, if you're going to start an SMMA, be prepared for a little bit of startup costs. Not a lot compared to any business. Let me tell you that now. The overheads on an SMMA are jack shit. Okay. The more clients you have, like me and Harry have, the more you do rack up, because they need certain softwares. And we've got a software that we're now paying hundreds of dollars for one client, because it's a really great little tool we have. And we find little pockets of things that we invest in. That's because we're advanced on it. At the beginning, you don't need actually anything.
Not until you get a client.
Not until you get a client. Now, there's software like Canva and ClickFunnels, DocuSign, and God, all these other things. Even to have an Outlook with Microsoft, for example, it's like $9 a month, whatever. So you are going to need, which you don't need, but even Gmail, I think to have a domain with Gmail, it's going to cost you $7 a month. There's little things, little tiny things. So be prepared for that. However, in developing countries, that's a big problem for them, because they don't have the money to put into it. But even then, there are still ways in which you can literally do it for zero, by not having to, you won't have a huge hefty phone bill with EE or 3 Mobile. You're not going to have that necessarily. So if you've got WhatsApp and an internet connection, you can do your outreach on WhatsApp. Why can't you send 100 messages a day on WhatsApp to business owners on their cell numbers? I could do that from a cave in Canada, providing I've got Wi-Fi or signal, phone signal. So that will help. And even then, running ads on Meta platform, I personally do like to take them off the platform and to a funnel. And if you don't know what a funnel is, please Google it. But like, you don't need to. You can use the internal Meta lead gen form. So there are ways around it, and I think that's also. It's also worth knowing for those who are thinking of starting an SMA is there are little costs involved at the beginning, but not a lot.
Yeah, and if you're listening from like the UK or whatever, there's practically yeah. What am I trying to say?
Mate, just check your mic. Just your mic's dropped out just a touch. Can't hear you at all now.
Hold on.
There we go. Got you.
Yeah, is that better?
Yeah, sound.
Cool. I can edit that bit out. What was I going to say? I was going to say, if you're operating,
this is what happens on a podcast. Shit is wrong.
If you're operating,
we're not going to edit out. Just keep it in.
If you're operating an SMMA from a from say the UK example, for example, really you can get away until you get your first client without spending a penny. Because if you're just doing outreach through pure cold calling, I suppose you could, yeah, you will have to get your domain sorted, but that's like £4 a month through GoDaddy.
I think if you have got zero, if you're trying to start an SMA and you literally have not a penny to put into it, then work for a business for a year, save some money, even if it's just like $100, save something, and then start it. You can't expect to start a business on absolute zero. You do have to be real to some degree. Come on, but it's easy for me to say because I'm sat here in my office, and I've been there on a different journey. So it's try and make some money, to throw into it.
Well, leading on from that, mate, someone asked a very interesting question of, he can get clients. This is a very different angle. He can get clients, but he can't keep them for longer than 3 months. He just, whatever he does, he just can't keep them for longer than 3 months.
That means he's not getting results, and they don't see the value in continuing. That means his relationships with them are weak, and that probably means he needs to develop himself in those 2 areas. Or there's a fourth to that, and there's other agencies knocking on the door, and they've caught the eye, and they're going to go with them.
Yeah. All he needs to do there is get better at delivering. If he was getting results, then it wouldn't be a problem. But even if you're not getting results, you can keep him for longer than 3 months. You just need to have better communication.
SMMA is like having a girlfriend. If you're not treating her right, someone else will come along and swoop and take her away because you're acting like a douchebag.
Yeah.
So don't act like a douchebag. Try your very, very best to keep them happy, nurture them and love them, and give them the results they need with your best possible efforts. If you're doing that, they will stay with you, and they'll trust you. It's an element of trust, and that's part of rapport building, which is part of sales. But it's the same if you have a girlfriend or any relationship in your life. If it's not right, they will walk or be interested in going somewhere else.
Yeah, and you've got to make their life better. If you're making their life worse by taking their money, it's such a simple.
If I had someone in my life who was just taking my money and not giving me anything back in return, I'd be like, okay, I'm going to go this way, you go that way.
Exactly. Yeah. No, very, very easy answer there, isn't it?
That's what you should do. But it is. It's a simple answer. I would just tell that person that just have a little look at how often you're speaking to them on the phone. What's your communication looking like? And if you're not getting results, do they know you're not getting results? Is this a surprise? Are they aware you're not getting results, but they're not seeing any action in place? I could dissect the shit out of that, because I suspect there's a few things I would look at and go, dude, that's why.
Yeah. We need to have a breakdown, won't we, of what's actually gone on.
Full deep dive. I'd have to do a full deep dive into that person, but that's a very general thing that I've probably assumed. But I'm never normally too far off the real.
Okay. What about if the answer was he wasn't getting results, ran Facebook for the full 3 months, what would be the first 3 or 4 things that you'd look into to see, right, that's why you haven't got results. This is what you can do better next time. This is what you should have done. I've got a few.
One of the first things I would do would be like, okay, what's the product and what is the offer? Because normally the offer on meta ads is the thing that drags attention from those that are on the platform, followed by urgency. So how urgent are you making this? What's your call to action? What does your creative look like? Have you linked the creative well enough with the copy? And how is that creative and copy speaking to the audience? Which then brings up another question, is your targeting right? You could be way off on your targeting. Who is the target audience? Who is the perfect client? And I think having a look at what the actual situation is on a visual and written aspect is the first thing I'd look at. Yeah. Once we look at that, it's like, okay, you've got their attention. That person likes the offer, likes the product. They've clicked learn more or shop now, whatever the call to action is that you've got. Where are you taking them? So what is then happening with that journey? Are you taking them off Facebook to a funnel like we would do? Are you keeping them on Facebook and you're just getting shitty leads come in? There's lots of things, but that would be the first thing I'd look at, mate, wouldn't it?
Yeah, 100%. People forget that the whole job of an ad is to stop someone scrolling on Facebook and Instagram and get them to a website, a funnel, or somewhere they can purchase or leave their lead information. Once the ad has got them off social media and onto the website, that's that ad's job done. Like, that is literally done. The caveat to that, it needs to educate them enough and get them in the right frame, which we call a pre-frame bridge, to get them ready to purchase. But if they're clicking on the ad and going through, providing you're not really misleading them to a completely different product or service just to get them onto a website, then you're not going to have that problem. But that's what you've got to think. And there's several metrics you can look at in terms of to see if an ad's working. There's click-through rate, there's the cost per click, there's the frequency, there's all of these different metrics you can see to see if that ad is doing its job. Once you're getting people to the site for a cheap cost in the industry, that you're sparking enough interest, you're hitting pain points within that ad, and you're getting them to a standard you're happy with, then, like you say, it comes down to a question: is the website and funnel doing its job? Because the ad's done its job to get them there. Now it's the website or funnel's job to convert that customer or that traffic source into a lead, into a sale, into initiate checkout, into an add to cart. Once you get there, you can start pushing them down the funnel with different retargeting tricks, etc. But there's so many different parts that affect a product or service, let's say, working or winning online, that it's silly to just blame the ad. And clients will do that, and especially if a client's not used to selling their products and services online. If they've forever sold their products and services in a shop and they're now coming online, it's a very different process. And they will tell you, well, we know our customers, we've been in business for 100 years. No, you don't. You don't know your customers that have never heard of you before, because it's cold traffic initially, and you don't know that new journey online to get to a product and sale. So there are things that you can, I hate to say it, you can a little bit point the fingers at different parts, providing you've done your research to know the ad is working.
Yeah, I think that's absolutely, totally spot on there. It needs, again, we go down to common sense. Common sense, look at the ad, put yourself in the consumer's shoes, always. Ask yourself, would I respond to this ad? Would I actually stop and read this if I was, a man 30 needing whatever you're selling online? Let's say it's an accessory for your car. I don't know.
Yeah.
Would that capture my attention? Am I speaking to the audience right? These are the questions that I really tell the students. Like, you've got to think about the consumer. Don't think about what you would respond to as such. Think about what they will. And that is, I'm always doing that. There's things that I've created in the past, and I've launched an ad and I've looked at it and gone, yeah, this is perfect, absolutely perfect. And then I've actually gone back through it, I've checked out the data through it, and I've gone, why is the click-through rate so low? And then I've gone to the funnel, and there's some significant things that I've just missed. And then I tweak the funnel. And this is why we do A/B split testing. I tweaked the funnel and the ad, the front of the ad, and your click-through rate goes to 3, 4, 5%. And it's just, and the things I missed were quite obvious, but I just missed it at the time.
Yeah, and there's loads of things that you can do that if you're designing funnels on websites as well, isn't there? Like, we've changed.
Here's a tip that we talk about, Harry, isn't it? Like, if you're running ads on Meta, okay, and your cost per click is sub 20p cents, dollars, whatever, sub 20 cents, that's okay for now. I would say you want to get to about the sub 10 cent p mark. Okay, if your cost per click is good, you then need to see, when I say good, adequate, not too expensive. If your cost per click is good, you then need to look at what the CTR is. That's the click-through rate. What percentage of people are clicking through? Now, if your click-through rate is 2% onwards, okay, and you're not getting sales, then it's not an ad issue, it's a funnel issue or a website issue. Yeah. Okay, because the ad's doing its job. The ad is bringing people through. 3%, 4% of people coming through from the ad. Yeah, okay, that's great. Why aren't they buying? That's a website conversion issue. If you're looking at an ad and the ad is getting clicks and it's getting frequency and impressions and reach, but the click-through rate is low, then it's a copy or a creative issue. Simple as that. It's not fun. It can't be a funnel issue because they don't go to it. Okay, so anyone listening to this, that's they're the two things I would be looking out for. A low click-through rate means it's your ad. High click-through rate, but no sales, it's your funnel.
Yeah.
So that's something we dramatically look at. And then if they're coming to the funnel and they're not converting, you want to see what stage they're not converting. Are you getting a lot of people all the way to checkout and then they abandon the cart and get on with their lives and they've not purchased? If that's the case, why? Is it the delivery cost is too much? Is the process of buying shit? There's lots of things there. Again, put yourself in the buyer's shoes and go, if I was buying this product, let me go to checkout now. Right, I'm on the checkout page. Why would I not check out? Could be that you haven't got your size. Say it's a t-shirt. Could be that the drop down of the way the sizes are listed are fucking all over the place. It could be that the colors of the product are scattered and not in the right order, and it gets complex, and people are like, oh, fuck this, I'm just going to come off it. I'll go on Google and I'll get it on Amazon. So it has to really be, I cannot stress about website conversions and funnel conversions, that it's got to be so simple these days for people. Apple Pay is a significant thing now. I despise when I can't buy products online using Apple Pay. I've actually got to put my credit card details in. What the fuck is that? No. Like, that's not a thing. Surely that's not a thing anymore.
No, and people will be thinking, well, is that my job? And it 100% is. Although you're not a website developer, or you're not, I don't know, an expert in SEO or whatever it is, you still need to know those things, because the client's going to come to you, and if you can't answer that problem, that goes down to that guy who can't get past the 3-month mark. It'll be because you don't need the answers to everything, but you need to know a little bit about everything. That's a really good bit of advice that I will try and follow. Like someone messaged me, say, Harry, are you an expert in SEO? No, but I know enough about it to talk to the clients about it and put them in the right direction. Because when they come to you,
you can't be a car man. You can't be a car mechanic and then change tires.
No, and you can't go to clients with problems without a solution. Remember, you said that to me. Like, if you go to a client and say, right, our ads are working, it's your website issue, you solve that problem. Well, they're not going to carry on working with you then, because they've got to solve that problem before and you're going to be put on hold. Whereas if you go to them and say, right, Susie, the ads are working, click-through rates this, cost per click this, we're getting this many people to the website. However, only this many people initiating checkout, this many people are purchasing. So the problem's the website. This is what you need to do. You need to solve this part of the checkout process. You need to add testimonials here. You need to reduce the quality of these images so the page speed loads quicker. This, and this, and that. And then that's how you're going to get. That's how you need to approach all of your problems, and that's how you're going to get over that 3-month mark.
Yeah, you've got to go with a solution. You've got to go with ideas. Otherwise, you're good for nothing, really. You're the expert.
And it's okay, and it is okay not to have the answers. We've not had the answers to loads of problems we've come into, but we go and say we're on the case.
Yeah, completely. There's the one thing I want people to take away is that SMA it is very, very simple once you know how. It's just there's a lot of how to know.
Yeah.
So once you know how to do one thing once, you're kind of like, that's ticked the box. You're kind of, once you remember it, you've got to retain the info. There's lots of techie things that I'm like, you asked me 3 years ago, I'd have not known how to.
No.
I wouldn't even know how to buy a domain off GoDaddy. I'm not even fucking shitting you. Like, I wouldn't have known how to do it. Now you get a domain, you set up a DNS records, and you've got your TXT records, and you've got your CNAME, and you've got all these things that I haven't even shown once, but I remembered it. But there's lots of things. It is simple, and you can get clients, you can make great money online. But there's lots of the how you need to know. You just got to be willing to learn all the time. And I do think people want to just know it all in one go, and then say they've got a business and demand money.
And that's where a mentor can really help. And I hate to plug it again, but I'm going to continue plugging it because it's so useful. Like, if you, for example, these people,
we plug it. It doesn't have to be us. Don't use us if you don't want to. If you want success, use us. If you want a different mentor with a different pricing point, and you like his course, and you like his or her funnel, website, whatever, and you've heard good things about it, go and buy it then.
Yeah.
Like we don't care if you buy our course or not.
Like, all of these people that message us problems, if they could get on the support call that's happening in 8 minutes, all of their problems would be solved. If that person who keeps losing clients every 3 months and couldn't carry on, if he could get on our mentorship calls every month, speak to us about, right, someone, Harry, I'm not getting this client results, what shall I do? We'd give him the advice. I guarantee he could sign them for an extra 3 months if he was on our calls. So his enrollment into the academy would be paid for fucking exponentially.
Yeah.
It's so like if you don't want to have the answer to every problem, not saying you and I do, but we fucking do. Like we between us, we can solve your problem. And that's how useful having access to us is. And not only us, access to everyone else in the community. There's people earning there's students in the academy earning multiple six figures. So it's not just us two. You can leverage their knowledge and experience as well.
Yeah, you can.
So I think that's a good note to lead it on, mate. I know we want to get 2 podcasts into this, but
I don't think we can do 2 today, can we?
Nah, the call's in 7 minutes.
We've got, for those listening, we've got a call in 7 minutes. So Harry just tells me when and where I've got to be on the call on there. I don't ever know. I don't look at my calendar as much, Harry.
No. So yeah,
call in 7 minutes. We'll wrap up.
Yeah, I think that's a good place to wrap up. We covered a lot. Covered the developing countries, fucking all sorts.
Yeah.
All sorts.
Cool.
So yeah, we'll wrap it up there, guys. If you have any questions, like today, it was purely just us answering a few guys' questions in more detail that we can get across over message. So yeah, drop us any message if this has sprouted any questions or queries, or if you're having any trouble with clients. If you're interested in the developing country course, or you're interested in the main academy, which comes with the mentorship, both links will be below. And yeah, we'll see you on Thursday's podcast.